Tonight, the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation insists it has no problem investigating itself. But if you want to see exactly what the agency has done with misconduct allegations against its own agents, the TBI says you can't. Still, that may be changing. News Channel 5 Chief Investigative Reporter Phil Williams continues digging into what one case says about who investigates the investigators.
Opened the door and...
When two TBI agents came to Fred Wortman's door in 2015 asking for permission to search his Lake County home, they were insistent that he say yes. Wortman's adult son had been implicated in a murder-for-hire plot, and the agents wanted to seize valuables from inside the parents' house that the son had promised to try to get to a fellow inmate. One agent turned up the pressure.
And he said, we came as honorable men thinking that you would be an honorable man. And I said, I try to be as honorable a man as I can be, but you're not going to search my house without a search warrant.
After demanding that the agents get off his property, Wortman came back inside and attempted to close the door. That's when agents Mark Reynolds and Jeff Jackson rammed the door and forced their way inside, telling Wortman that asking them to leave wasn't an option.
And then at that point, they did what the law allows, and that is to hold the scene until a search warrant can be obtained.
TBI Director David Roush, in an interview with us and in a video later posted on the TBI social media sites, argued that what the two agents did was completely appropriate. The agents claimed that because they had told Fred Wortman what they were looking for, they feared he might try to destroy the evidence.
The problem with that line of reasoning is that allows the police to have their cake and eat it too.
Vanderbilt law professor Chris Slobogan says if police ask for consent to go into someone's home, they must be prepared to accept no as an answer.
If we say that's a situation where the police can do a warrantless search, we've totally undermined the right to refuse consent. All the police have to do is ask for consent. If they get a refusal, then they can describe what they're looking for and say, oh, we've got an emergency. We've got to go in because the evidence will be destroyed.
And instead of bringing any concerns they may have had about the conduct of our agents directly to us.
In his video, Roush suggested that instead of filing a lawsuit, the family should have asked the TBI to investigate itself.
You're talking about policy and procedure. And policy and procedure, the agency itself is the best expert.
But after months of digging into these issues, our exclusive investigation discovered that how well the TBI actually investigates itself is a closely guarded secret. News Channel 5 Investigates asked the TBI for a log of all internal affairs investigations, but the Bureau told us those are confidential. So we asked for all complaints alleging misconduct by agents, but the TBI says those go into the investigative files, making them confidential. So we requested reprimands and other disciplinary actions in the agents' files. Again, we were told those are also confidential.
That whole process is shrouded in secrecy. There's no accountability.
Open government advocate Deborah Fisher lobbies lawmakers for more transparency as the head of the Tennessee Coalition for Open Government.
No, the public should know the results of investigations into police officers and if there are disciplinary actions against police officers. And they do. And with local law enforcement, TBI is claiming that they have an exemption from that.
If there are bad agents, why should the public not be able to find that out?
No, I don't disagree with you. I think if you have, just as when I was a police chief, when you have bad employees, the public should know.
Roush said he would like to find a way to be more transparent, but the Bureau has to follow state law.
I can tell you that right now I have to follow the laws that are in place. Right? Those laws exist right now. I didn't create those laws.
Law doesn't say that it exempts internal investigations into officers. It just says investigations. But you would think through the context that what they're talking about are investigations conducted, criminal investigations conducted by the TBI, not internal investigations.
I feared not only for my life, but mainly for Fred's life.
As for what happened to the Wortmans, the TBI director says it's important to remember the agent's motives.
The ultimate thing I think has been lost on this is there was a victim that they were standing up for that nobody else was.
Well, if the concern were just for the victim, then we wouldn't have a warrant requirement. We wouldn't have a consent requirement. The police could just go into any house and say, hey, we're trying to vindicate the victim. I don't think anyone in this country wants the police to have that kind of authority.
After our interview with the director, the TBI reversed its positions on those disciplinary actions, and Roush announced that going forward, complaints and internal reviews will not be put into the TBI's investigative files, which means they could be released to the public. Still, he says any complaints and investigations from the past will remain hidden from public view. Phil Williams, News Channel 5 Investigates.